Hi, my name is Jessica Lowry, and welcome to my presentation on data collection techniques, which is journals. When I first picked this technique, the first thing that came to my mind was diaries, which journals are known as diaries, and they can be written as entries when wanting to reflect on experiences in the classroom from either the teacher or the student perspective. They also act as a narrative technique to record events, thoughts, and feelings that have importance to the writer. They also can have importance to your audience when a teacher is reading a student journals based on your action research project. The main thing to take away from journals is that they should be used as reflections. So when you are recording your records or on observations, you want to also reflect on those feelings or thoughts that you had during the observation, not just exactly what happened. They can be used as descriptions, used in analysis, or interpretations. One thing with journals, you want to definitely evaluate them over time. You don't just want to take it as a one-time thing. A lot of classrooms use class notebooks or journals, and students just write in them every day, or a teacher writes them in every day about what happened. Um, they are a qualitative technique because you're not really recording data such as numerical data. It's more of, like I said, reflections. And you also want to combine it with other data collection tools, such as your quantitative, so that you can also have data journals based on whatever you're collecting with your other techniques. Some questions I have listed there about what you can answer when using journals, such also regarding reflections and feelings, what's happening in your classroom, how do your students feel about that lesson or procedure, what do you do in your daily routine that will provide you relevant information about your action research project, and once again, you want to make sure that there are discussion points with explanation, questioning strategies. And journals, like I said, they're more than just a single data source. You want an ongoing attempt by the teachers so you can reflect on your practice over an elongated period of time and not just one time. This journals are a powerful source of evidence that can provide you those feelings and reflections and reactions about your lesson planning when you implement your action plan. Some types of journals that you can use a teacher journal. Teachers can write in them daily about exactly what happened. It records your reflections about your classroom life, in which teachers can write their observations and reflect on their teaching over time. It allows teachers to collect written descriptions of their professional reflections and practice. I also, as I was reading the chapter in Mill's textbook, I noticed that it also kind of goes with other qualitative uh, data collection techniques, which field notes from observations or your notes from your interviews. You really want to be able to record those and record not only exactly what happened in the interview or your observation, but like I said, you want to be able to record those feelings and interpretations associated with those observations. It should be able to make it easier for you to record your reflections on the lessons, meetings, interviews, and planning sessions for documentation of your action research project to report your findings so you can return back to those. And I think that these are the type of unique processes and procedures that you use because you're recording how you feel, not just what happened in the classroom. Some other types of journals is the student journal. You could have your students, their own personal journal, write down their thoughts or feelings about what's happening in the classroom. And this quote came from the Mertler text or chapter that our professor provided, where it says that journals provide information similar to homework to the teacher, and that teachers can give an insight and a sense of students' daily thoughts, perceptions, and experiences in their classroom. So how did the student feel about that? And I kind of related this to what I'm doing currently in the classroom with my students. I teach math and science, and in math, we're doing ratios right now and creating equivalent ratios, where I have my students, I taught them 3 different ways to make equivalent ratios, and then they got to come back to their journal to see which way they liked best. And it's just a great technique for them to always return to. Another technique that I really liked also learning about was the class. You could have class student journals, which is the blank notebook where students can write in it pretty much whenever set by the teacher guidelines, where they can write in it as a class. where they pass it around, where it's left at a station or a learning center, or just left one place in your room where students can write how they feel about their thoughts, feelings, perceptions, feedback, or other forms of response, such as pictures or diagrams regarding whatever you're teaching or regarding whatever question you're asking them based on your qualitative responses. One thing that's really important for teachers to understand is that you have to set guidelines for these entries so that students aren't obviously writing inappropriate things down. Some strengths and weaknesses. The strengths would obviously be to gain insight on teacher or student true thoughts and feelings. If it's kept regularly, an accurate reflection of how the lesson went in the classroom. I know as teachers, we're always going back to how can we make this lesson better, and returning to the Your Journal based on that lesson could really help you. Another strength is journals don't always have to be the traditional with paper and pencil. They could be digital journals, which is also another way to make it really easy for you to collect that data for your action research project when you need to report your findings. Some weaknesses would be if the guidelines and expectations are not set properly, it might not be able to answer the question that you're asking in your action research project, so it would really be useless for the students. And it may not provide detailed accounts of your reflections, which it could provide inaccurate feelings. And I know with journals, it's very time consuming. So the teacher, if this is the data collection tool you want to use for your action research project, I think it's really important for a teacher to set a specific time, maybe every daily, either during the school day or after the school day, where they can go and they write them down, because then it relates to your validity and your reliability. Because you want them to record your journals accurately, you need to begin writing early. You need to find time to write in your journals. And it can be really difficult just to base off memories of those thoughts and feelings. You want them to be as accurate as possible. Also, coding and memoing, I read in the Dana text, I think is something that you would use with coding, or I'm sorry, with journaling, because when you're writing it, it is time consuming. So the more that you can code a memo, which would be just deaggregates the data and breaks it down into manageable segments and identifies or names those segments. And then the memoing would just be explaining or elaborating on coded categories in your fieldwork notes, so you can help make it easier for you to analyze all of your data. So that is my presentation on journaling, and my last page is just my references. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation, and I hope this presentation allows you to determine if journaling is right for your action research project or not. Thanks for listening. Bye.